So Ford has gone all in on the EV market. They went ahead and promised a year ago that by 2040 their entire lineup is going to be electric. And the world went ahead and called their bluff. And when Ford showed its cards or its cars, all it has is a bunch of lots with half-built cars and a huge supply chain shortage bill that they're claiming is going to be $1 billion. We also have Jim Farley flip-flopping on the whole statement that they're going all in EV. Now he's talking a lot about fossil fuel cars, gas powered cars, and how the customers still want them. And so it looks like by 2040, I don't believe that it's going to be an all EV lineup. And I know I've taken a pause covering stocks and crypto. I just do a bunch of tutorials these days and focus mainly on the daytime business. But I do have a big stocks and crypto following, so I'm going to jump back in and give updates on the stocks and crypto that I used to cover a lot, tell you what my position is, do a little bit of DD, give you my thoughts, show you whether I'm holding it, buying it, or selling it, and what I plan to do with it in the future. So without further ado, let's jump into the nitty and gritty and discuss Ford, which I've done plenty of videos on in the past. Okay, so let's take a look at Ford's 1-year chart, and you can see here that currently it trades at $11.20. But just a couple of months back, in the middle of January, it actually went above $25 in share price. And this was really impressive, but this was on the back of Tesla having exponential rises, and then Ford coming out with the F-150 Lightning, and then talking about how great the sales and the potential orders are for that car. However, we all know, especially in the EV market, when you come out with new EV vehicles, you're always going to have issues, and those issues usually end up hurting the bottom line, and it takes a couple of years to actually figure out and to go ahead and iron out all the problems, all the issues with vehicles and a lineup, and then it can really take off. And remember how Ford said that they're going to phase out all fossil fuel vehicles by 2040, and just to show you here, so this is an article around November 2021. If you look up the articles, they all say that. But although I like Farley, their CEO, he has flip-flopped on this. And lately, he's been going back to gas guzzlers and saying that, hey, maybe the EV space is not all that easy, and that a lot of people, they do prefer the fossil fuel-backed cars, and that it sounds like they're not going to have an all EV lineup by 2040. So I think they even got caught up in the craze when Tesla was going to the moon. I also want to point this out. If you look at the 5-year chart, but especially the max chart, you can see that Ford over here, when it went over $25, it didn't even come close to its all-time high. And so it's something I take into account when investing in companies, is looking at their history. You want to see growth, you want to see exponential rises, so that you know that if you stay invested in this company, more likely than not, you're going to see better returns a decade from now. But here, that clearly wasn't the case. As a matter of fact, you could have invested in Ford in 1995, and all these years later, we're talking about over 25 years of being invested in Ford, and you would likely be down on your investment today. And that is absolutely bananas. If you had invested in Ford 23 years ago, you would be sitting at a 50% loss 23 years later. Not to even account for the effect that inflation had on this price. This is not even taking that into account. We're just looking at the share price. You'll be down 50%. And so you got to be careful about these things. Now, I believe that Ford is still gonna have its day in the sun as far as the stock is concerned. I think it is going to go to all-time highs probably somewhere in the next decade, especially if the EV market picks up and the supply chain shortage gets better. But that being said, you don't know that for sure, and it's not always about what you buy, it is when you buy it. And I'll show you guys in a second when I bought and sold Ford for, and when I will plan to go in again. And it's not right now. I'm not happy at any prices above $10, even above $8, but I'll get into that shortly. I want to show you guys this. If you go to the key statistics on Yahoo Finance, which I do use a lot, I want to point you to the profit margin and operating margin trailing 12 months. They sit at just under 8%, 7.88% for profit margin, 7.82% for operating margin. These are pretty slim margins, and the fact that Ford went and announced that they have an extra $1 billion in expenses, this is gonna erode this profit margin and the operating margin. I also want to point this out, and this is a red flag to me. Look at their total cash position, $28 billion. Look at their total debt, $130 billion. Let's compare that to Tesla, and let's also take a look at Tesla's profit margin and operating margin. So if we go over here, Yahoo Finance, click on statistics, we will see that both the profit margin and operating margin is 2x what Ford is doing. Furthermore, take a look at their cash situation, $18.92 billion in cash and just $6.66 billion in debt. And this is the devil's number. So I don't know if that's a good sign or a bad sign if you're about to invest in Tesla either. That being said, I'm going to link this article. This is an interview with Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, and it's really helpful if you're trying to make decisions about whether Ford is a great investment for you at the moment. And this article I'm going to link as well. This is from the New York Times. Ford says it will spend $1 billion more in third quarter because of supply chain issues. We are living through the greatest disruption of the supply chain for car manufacturers, and this is nothing to scoff at. Look at this horrific note right here. Ford said it expected to end the third quarter with 40,000 to 45,000 mostly completed vehicles that cannot be shipped to dealers because they're missing certain components. That's higher than the company had expected. In July, about 53,000 vehicles were not completed. So you're just having a bunch of cars and trucks just sitting there at the Ford lots waiting to be assembled fully so that they could be sold and reflected on the bottom line. This is a huge issue. Now, a lot of people say that things are going to ease up maybe in the second half of 2023 or something like that, but we do not know for sure. We don't know if the Russia-Ukraine crisis is going to get crazier. We don't know what's going to happen with the state of the world. But the fact that right now the supply chain issue is this bad, I wouldn't put a lot of money behind the fact that it'll be resolved by the end of 2023. I personally believe, doing research in all the supply chain issues, that they're going to last quite a bit longer. So I want to show you guys here a screenshot that I took on the day that I sold Ford stock. And no, I didn't sell it over $25 because I'm some sort of genius. I sold it when it was going on its way down from there at around $15.13. And as you can see, the average price that I paid for was $11.41. So my total gain was not a lot. It was a couple of thousand, $3,348, but I was up over 30%. And in the research I was doing, and the way the stock was tumbling and the state of the economy, the macro and micro of it all told me that it's a good idea to go ahead and just get out of Ford and see what happens. Lock in my profits, because it's so important, especially when you're hitting times like this, times of potential recession, to go ahead and lock in profits, build a cash position, make sure that you can handle all your expenses, and that you have plenty of opportunity with a huge pile of cash to go ahead and take advantage of certain investment opportunities. And so that is exactly what I did. And you could see here that I did it on a day when I went ahead and lost $670.50 in a single day. But it doesn't matter. You can't look at it that way. You can't be chasing losses. You have to look at things objectively. And I told myself that if I had $13,621.50 sitting in front of me right now, would I go ahead and invest that money in Ford? And the answer was obviously no. So I went ahead, sold the position. I currently, at the time of this video, do not own a single share of Ford, and I do not plan on buying Ford or even looking at Ford until it goes below $8, which unfortunately I believe it will go below that price point. Then I will sit down, I will do a lot of research, and I will do a lot of due diligence, and I will plan something out, telling myself, what price do I see this a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? What do I think is going to happen? Can it still be going lower based on the new information that's provided at the time when it does dip below $8? But that's where I sit currently. And if I miss out and Ford only touches $9 or $10 and then zooms to 40, 50 5 years from now, so be it. I missed out. But you have to stick to your conviction, and I am doing so here. So I wanted to update you guys. I am no longer invested in Ford. I do think that Ford is going to do well in the very long term, but certainly not in the short term. And I am not willing to part with my hard-earned money to go ahead and scoop up Ford at around $11, $12. I just do not believe it is the time to do so. When the next quarterly earnings come out, I think it's going to be a slaughterhouse for Ford. So we'll see what happens, but let me know in the comment section what you think, which topic you wish for me to cover next, which stock, which crypto that I've been neglecting and used to talk about, which ones do you want me to give an update for, and I'll aim to do so and sprinkle that in as I work ridiculously hard on the daytime business so that, again, I can go ahead and stockpile some cash in my bank account so that I can take advantage of true dips when they do come. And I feel that both in stocks and crypto, we have not yet seen the true dip that is coming, especially when it sinks in that we're in for the long haul, recession-wise, supply chain shortage-wise. With that being said, I appreciate you guys lots for watching this video in its entirety, and I'll see you all in the next one.